Hi, my name's Cameron Carlson with AnimeOnLocation.tv. I'm here at Ohayocon 2023 with Justin Nordell.
Hi, so happy to be back here at Ohayocon.
Yeah, you're like kind of a myth and a legend around here.
Well, Ohayocon is the very first anime convention that I ever went to. I had just started working at Funimation, and Monica Rial brought me as her +1 because they have a little thing here called the Roast, and I am a funnier person. I've done stand-up and other things, so they had me hop up there and make fun of someone that year, and then I got invited back year after year. Go figure. Apparently I'm good at just tearing other people to shreds.
So it's kind of how you got started in the world of entertainment, huh?
Well, it's how I got started in the world of cons. I had already gotten to work at Funimation Entertainment, which I got an incredible job opportunity there. They were looking for an ADR director, which is the person that directs the voice actors dubbing all of your favorite anime. And I went down and I auditioned for Monica Rial and Colleen Klinkenbeard, and they brought me aboard, and so I was really excited. And it's just been a lot of fun in this world ever since.
Yeah, actually, when you talk about those group of people, they're awesome. We've talked to all of them. They're all really fun people. So, again, talking about this, your bio, which the reason I brought this up because I'm friends with both Brina and J. Michael Tatum. You got to work on Spice and Wolf as the director on that. What was it like working on that project? Kind of like it's a weird mood project, and I love it. So, what was it like when you got to work on it?
Spice and Wolf is an incredible series, and it was the first series that I ever had the privilege of working on. Even more so than that, it's an incredibly dialogue-heavy series. There was a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of really scene building and world building. It's funny, I didn't have a background in directing, but Monica had told me she thought I would be a great director, because to be a great director you need to be able to do one of two things, which is to paint the larger picture for an actor, because when they're going in the booth, a lot of times they are the first person in there and they have nothing to go off of other than the little bit that they're able to see on the screen. And then the other thing is to be able to tell people exactly what to do. So with Brina and Tatum, it was just the biggest gift I could have been given to have two incredibly talented actors that were able to just do these pages and pages and pages of dialogue. But it was really hard because in some instances, Brina was often the first one in the booth, and she has much, much more emotional core to the series of Spice and Wolf playing Holo. So having to really rev her up and get her to those spaces and places, especially when she was having those breakdown cry scenes in some of the later episodes of season 1, was definitely my first challenge, but it was one that I absolutely loved. And if I'm being honest, when you're a director, you want to be with people and you want to cast people that you're going to be stuck in a booth with for hours on end that you want to be with. Brina and Tatum are people you want to be stuck for hours with.
Well, we've interviewed both of them. We love them to death. So for fans that do not know this, tell us a little bit about your work in anime directing and script writing. You know, because we talked about that Spice and Wolf was your very first ever role. And then you got to dabble in script writing. So how do you combine the two when you have to do it?
Well, the script writing first came about because one of the series that I was working on was Sergeant Frog, which, for those of you that have not seen it, please seek it out. I'm incredibly proud of it. It is very, very, very funny.
A lot of good starting points for a lot of actors that are now mainstays, too.
Absolutely, and we are just so proud of all the people in that cast that have gone on to such great things. But Sergeant Frog was just such a funny series, but when I got the script, sometimes I thought the jokes could be punchier. Again, I have a background in stand-up, so I started writing alts, which was when you take a line that's already in there, you record it because it's in the script, but you're like, I think this may be funnier, let me give you some alternatives. And sometimes I would give 1, 2, 6 alts of different jokes that I think would work there, and all of a sudden those were some of the jokes that were making it into the show, and it caught the eyes of the writing team. So I applied, and there's a fantastic gentleman by the name of John Bergmeyer. You Yu Hakusho fans should know that name. John was the head writer, and he brought me on the team.
Yeah, I think I've seen his name pop up in some credits from time to time.
Only a few hundred.
Yeah. So when you get into anime script writing, what was one of the anime series that you thought that this is very interesting, out of the norm for a usual anime series?
I think the first series that I worked on that really caught me by surprise is a show that actually, I'm sad to say, has kind of been lost to time, but it's called Sands of Destruction. And it is a really fantastic series about an alternative world where anthropomorphic animals are the norm, and then there are some animal-human hybrids that are also fairly normal, but humans are more of an enslaved species. And there are two humans that possess this one particular object that could end the world, and they're having to choose whether or not they want to allow humanity to continue to suffer or just end it for everyone. And there are some really bad, kind of badass creatures that are on their tail, voiced by Trina Nishimura and Jane Michael Tatum. And that show, talking animals, I thought it was going to be, there's a talking teddy bear, voiced by Chris Sabat, and I was just like, oh, this will be fun and light and fluffy. It gets incredibly deep into the emotional core of what humanity is, and as I'm writing it, and then it goes there, I go, oh, I need to go back, and I redid all of my earlier scripts to really have kind of those notes to try to pay off for later. So it really showed me that anime is an incredible method for storytelling, that you're able to have something that starts off in this really cute, fluffy, fuzzy teddy bear packaging that really pulls the rug out from under you.
Yeah, that's why I like anime myself. Is that it's weaving and storytelling, and then the emotional core aspect that really drives the story, along with the visuals and the music and all that. But when you get good script writing, it makes a difference. I can actually tell when people do script writing, and that's what I who I can actually tell a lot is Tatum and Leah Clark's.
Absolutely.
Especially with Tatum with let's make it all British, yay! So, tell us about your passion and diversity in anime off screen.
When I first got to Funimation, I'm an out gay man, and I was only one of a couple that were there. J. Michael Tatum, who we've talked about, which having him in my first show was really something that set me at ease, that I was able to help bring queer voices into anime. Other incredible queer artists that were there included Antamir Robinson, Kent Williams, who's here this weekend, as well as Barry Yandell. But we were about it for the queer people, queer contingent at Funimation. We imported Jamie McGonigal, Chris Patton, Greg Ayers. All were brought in to do a number of different parts, but there just wasn't a lot of queer spaces and places for artists. And I will never forget when I left Funimation and I had moved back to Philadelphia, there was a show that popped up that had trans characters, and I was asked to audition for that show, and I was like, but I'm not trans. And they said, well, but you're gay. No. And it was just one of those things that years ago, that was absolutely the norm. Oh, yeah. And even more than that, it's only in the last couple of years that we've been casting actors of color for black roles. Yeah. So it's something that diversity in anime is incredibly important, because you as fans are seeing these characters that are on screen, characters that may embody you that you've never seen before. It's important that the voices, that the passion, that the person that is behind this character that they are embodying, that may embody you, is also someone from your community. Yeah.
No, I mean, my very first actual ever interview I ever did was in this building, was with Jamie. Oh, that was my very first ever interview. So when you brought up his name, I was like, yeah, that was over 13 years ago. That was my first ever interview with Jamie.
Jamie McGonigal.
Yeah. So do you feel the anime community is moving in a positive direction with the diversity? As we talked about, we're hiring more trans actors, more people of color, no matter where of people of color. Where do you think the positivity is going, and how can fans help promote that positivity in casting and directing?
That is such a good question, because fans, you have so much more power than you think you do. Your tweets, your Facebook posts, your Reddit posts, your internet slams, those are heard, those are read. There are people that see and monitor those. And so when you say, we want, queer actors in queer roles, we want black actors in black roles, we want, Latino actors in Latinx roles, those things are heard. And it's because of that we're now seeing black actors in black roles. But I'll be honest, if you look at the cast lists of some really recent LGBT shows, there's not a lot of lesbians that are playing lesbians. There's not a lot of gay men that are playing gay men. And in fact, there's not a single black director at Funimation right now. There's not a single queer director at Funimation right now. Crunchyroll, Crunchymation, whatever you want to call it now. But it's one of those things that it's important to have that there to help tell those stories. Yeah.
No, I mean, again, we have contacts and everything, so I whenever I see an opportunity to promote any casting period, and especially when it's diversity casting, I do that, because I'm friends with Marissa Lentini, and whenever they post about that they have a casting opportunity, I will retweet that so that it gets out to more people. Yeah. So going into that, we all know you have a great gift, as we're just discussing your mythology here at Ohayocon. You have a great gift at being a great roaster. Where do you start with that?
In all honesty, it is 100% genetic. I'm not even kidding. My great-grandmother on my mom's side was a female comedian at the Chelsea Hotel in England at the turn of the century, into the 20s.
Which is a big deal.
And the 30s, and that was something that, you know, my mother is humorous. My grandmother was wonderful, but she was an actual professional comedian, and it's something that I guess skipped 2 generations and came to me. So it's something that I really take to heart. I am incredibly quick, regardless, so it helps. A lot of improv training, a lot of stand-up work, and it's just one of those things that to be nice and to make people laugh, because that's such a wonderful release.
Yeah. You know, honestly, I've been to a couple of the shows where you've been the roast master with Emily, so I laughed my butt off, especially because I'm like, ooh, I didn't know this part about this person, so that's always so much fun.
Well, that's a shame, because you've got a great butt, so you should probably get it back.
So when you want to express yourself, you don't hold back on your jokes, as we discussed in the roast. Where do you think you get your other than from your great-grandmother and her excellent timing, what else helped shape you into your comedic abilities?
It's one of those things that I realized that, especially in roast humor, you're supposed to really go for the jugular to make fun of somebody, but it's supposed to come from a place of love. You go after the things that are going to be out of the ordinary. I have never, in all of my history of Ohayocon roasting, attacked somebody for their appearance, for their weight, for anything of that regard, because that's not something that I think is room for mining humor. A lot of the things that I say, sorry to break it to you, are just not true. I'm a good writer. And so because of that, I have a lot of you believing things that are not based in any form of reality. So because of that, it's just really, really great to be able to have that opportunity to take my former colleagues and my current friends, and also my favorite people I've never met before, and just completely, tear them to shreds. I'll never forget at the 2020 roast, I had never met Toshifumi Yoshida from Pokemon Company.
Oh, yeah.
And I had the opportunity to go up there and roast him. My number one rule of roasting for straight men, talk about how much you want to have sex with them. It makes them uncomfortable every time. Speaking of which.
Hi, buddy.
Hey.
Okay, so do you want to go on this roll? Because Tatum and I are like this.
It's all good.
You should watch the interviews with me and Tatum. So, now, on top of all your work, just for fun, you review films according to your Twitter. As of last year, you watched 646 films. How did you fit that all in?
Pandemic-induced insomnia. Woo! Say it with me. But no, I actually, after I left Funimation as an ADR director, I stayed on the script writing team and wrote scripts for a number of years from Philadelphia. And then I actually became a director at the Philadelphia Film Festival, was working with them for a little while, and now I've moved over to music and work in music festivals. However, I wanted to stay and have my foot in the film world and entertainment world, so I write movie reviews for a magazine in Philadelphia, and it's just something that I have the privilege of going to a lot of press screenings. I get a lot of different press releases, and at the same time, Netflix put out over 200 movies last year, and I watched every single one of them. Only 2 of them were good.
I was going to say, because when I looked at your Twitter, I was like, what is wrong with this man that he has 646 films in a single year? I can't fathom that. So, yeah.
There was a lot of good film last year.
So it also says in your bio that, again, we talked about your love and passion for folk songs and singing, and that you work with the Philadelphia area. How's it like? Because I think in the discussion is that your parents are very involved with that when you were growing up in Philadelphia, and the folk community loves you. So what's it like now that you're helping at an executive role in that area?
Thank you. I'm the executive director of the Philadelphia Folk Song Society. We're the producers of the oldest continuously run outdoor music festival in all of North America, the Philadelphia Folk Festival.
I think it's 40 plus years now?
61.
61, wow. Okay.
Yep.
I'm off.
It's quite all right. No, we've been going for a long time. We actually even went digital during the pandemic, and we had artists that were streaming live, even from South Korea, and all over Europe and Canada and all over the United States. It's something that's incredibly important to me. I think the parallels are that when I found a passion for storytelling when I worked at Funimation Entertainment, when I was exposed to the incredible stories that anime have to tell, and I appreciated that because I grew up in the folk community where storytelling is the basis of songs and songwriting. My parents met at that Philadelphia Folk Festival, so if it was not for that event, I literally would not be here. So when the opportunity came along to become the executive director and to help shepherd it into the next kind of generation to make sure it was around for years to come, I could not help but take that opportunity. Since then, I've opened up a music school and a music venue for them, both that I've done since being there, and both in Philadelphia. So if you're in the area, come say hi. But it's just a really great opportunity to do that, and also to present music from all over the world. Believe me, I have presented Japanese artists, South Korean artists, South Asian artists, and many, many others, because just because a story is in a language you can't understand doesn't mean that it's a story not worth telling.
Right, and I mean, I listen to stuff in Latin and Japanese, Chinese, Korean. I listen to a lot of that stuff, and especially if it's got a good beat and a good storytelling. I don't care if I can't understand it. I'm going with it, you know. So the cool part is that you have other types of music you work on, or is it just folk music?
Other types of music. For me, folk is an umbrella term. For a lot of people, folk is a four-letter F word, a bad one. But for me, it encompasses all types of music that involve storytelling. So hip-hop, jazz, blues, bluegrass, singer-songwriters. There's so many things that fall under that umbrella term. So when I put on a festival, I have all of those different types of artists there. So I will have everything from a traditional folk artist, like, say, Joan Baez, to something a little bit nouveau folk, like a Trixie Mattel, the drag queen who plays a mean auto harp. And then this year at my festival, I had an act called ADG7, which were a South Korean shamanic folk pop act that take 18th century shamanic folk songs and turn them into modern pop songs. If you have not seen it, check out their Tiny Desk concert. They are incredible.
Well, I hope more fans are able to check that out. So real quick, we understand NDAs.
Yes.
We understand how hard those can be not to talk about. But is there any current projects you want fans to check out? Like, you know, when is the next folk presentation?
So if anybody is in the Philadelphia area, you're more than welcome to come join us. It's always the third weekend in August, August 17th through the 20th. As for anything regarding anime, the only thing that I am allowed to say that I'm going to be a part of is Ohayocon 2024. I've already been asked to come back and roast master the roast next year. It's going to be bigger and back to form like what we did in 2020 and before. So if you are looking for a good laugh and a good time, I hope you join us at Ohayocon 2024.
Alrighty, and then where can we keep up with you personally on Twitter and or Facebook, all that type of stuff? And then what would you like to say to all the fans that have enjoyed your work throughout the many years?
I would love people to come and follow me on Twitter, as long as it doesn't, you know, explode into a hellhole. So at J Nordell, which is my first initial last name, JNORDELL. I'm also on Instagram, which was my AOL screen name, Mogwai47. I'm a huge Gremlins fan. And 47 is the number of times I got stung when I stepped on a Yellow Jacket's nest. So I figured that's my new lucky number, because all the bad luck's gone. So Mogwai47 on Insta. Please don't add me on Facebook. I literally found out there is a maximum number of Facebook friends you have. It's 5,000. And I can't have any more friends. If you want to be my friend, I have to get rid of an old friend, which I will do for some of you. But that being said, in addition to that, if you really want to see me, just go and look into a mirror and say Candyman 5 times, and I will be there for you. I promise. But yes, thank you so much for all of your support of all of the projects that I've done. It has really, really meant the world to me. And the fact of the matter is that I have not done as much with Funimation, Crunchyroll, or anybody in the last few years. So the fact that I still get the privilege of coming to these conventions and meeting such incredible people is really, really, really just such a gift. And I love this community. I love to talk about how in the queer community we choose our family, and chosen family is so important. Honestly, in the anime community and in fandom, it is too. So thank you so much for being a part of my extended family. And go check out Sergeant Frog and Sands of Destruction and Spice Wolf if you haven't yet.
All right, Justin, thank you so much for talking with me. Thank you so much. Yeah.